So today we are going to be picking my January 2026 TBR. What? How are we here already? How are we here already? I don't understand. I feel like this last year has blown by even faster than the last couple of years, which I feel like I say that every year, but it's really true. It's really true. I can't believe that we are picking my TBR for January, my first 2026 reads, which is honestly really exciting. I can't wait. If you're not familiar with this game, you can definitely go watch my first video where I played earlier this year and explained the rules in great detail. But essentially, I have a deck of cards with a whole bunch of characters from a whole bunch of my favorite stories on them, and I draw them, and each one of them has an effect where it allows me to choose a book from my shelves to read for the month. I choose the number of cards that corresponds with how many books I feel like reading that month, which usually averages out to about 5. So we're going to start, we're going to draw some cards, but the first part of this game is a smaller deck called my location cards. These give me kind of an overall theme for the month or effect that basically dictates something at the end of my TBR picking or at the beginning. You'll see. All right, so we are going to choose a location card. And we are going to choose this one right here. Oh my gosh, you guys. Gerald Gillane from Malazan. Mother Dark. At the end of this round, all of your TBR books must have a black or dark cover. Okay, that's going to be a pain in the butt, honestly, because I have a couple of buddy reads happening in January that definitely do not have black covers. So that means whatever I draw will have to be, like, those books will have to be in addition to everything else I draw on the TBR, which is a massive bummer. But hey, you know, does this feel like a portend for 2026? I'm gonna, you know, just knock on wood, and I'm feeling a little concerned with the fact that we're starting out with Mother Dark for 2026. I don't know how I feel about that. So you will see. We'll see how the rest of this TBR picking goes. That's a little concerning. Anyways, let's see if we can get some balance to that from the deck of character cards. Let's see if we can see if we can balance that out a little bit. I mean, maybe I just shift around some priority reads, you know? It's not the end of the world if I switch months around a little bit. That's fine. All right. So, our first card for January of 2026 is Nin, a character from my Legends of the Bruhai trilogy. Effect is read a book with an element in the title or on the cover. You guys, that is the most perfect prompt ever for my priority reads for January. 1 second. This is a book that has been on my TBR, and not just my TBR, my priority reads, I think for the last 2 years straight. And it just so happens to have an element in the title, which is super exciting. Nin came through. Nin came through. You're awesome. Go check out my book, The Bloodstones, to meet Nin, because he is an absolute gem and I love him to bits and pieces. Anyways, the book in question is Flames of Mira by Clay Harmon, which also has a black cover. Like, the stars are just aligning for us with this first pick here, and that makes me really happy. This is a book that I have been so excited to read, and I am planning on making this probably my first read of 2026. Because it's time. And this poor book has been on my shelves for way too long for how excited I am about it. So, first thing on the TBR is going to be Flames of Mira by Clay Harmon. Now, the goal is that we don't draw any cards from this deck that are going to make me, like, put this back. Because if that happens, I'm going to be so mad. But let's not put the cart before the horse. We're going to put that aside, and we're going to grab our deck for draw number 2. I kind of can't believe how perfectly that first draw fit. That was kind of awesome. It always scares me when things go well, but I feel like that was a little bit of a balance to Mother Dark as our location card. All right. Second card is, oh my goodness, we're just collecting all of the Bruhai today. We have Rue, also from the Bloodstones. Choose a non-fantasy mood read. Okay. I'm gonna need a minute. Hold on. Alright guys, I actually think that I have a good pick for this one, and I think it's even going to fit into the Mother Dark theme as well. So I have a book club that I run with my husband and two of our very close friends from college, and it was my pick for the month of January, and I decided to go with a book that I've been wanting to mood read for a really long time, and that is The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. Now, it's actually showing up lighter on my screen than it is in person, but if you look, this cover is primarily dark, so we're gonna count it because I need to read this in January anyway, and also it is primarily dark. There's a lot of dark on this cover, so we're gonna go with it. And also, this is about a woman who lives, I think, in one of the smaller Eastern European countries who during World War II becomes a sharpshooter against the Nazis. I have heard amazing things about Kate Quinn's historical fiction writing, and I cannot wait to read this book, and it's going to be really fun to discuss it as well. This will be my first time reading anything by Kate Quinn, but from everything I've heard, it's gonna be a powerhouse read. I can't wait. So we are gonna pick The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn for our second prompt. And honestly, so far this TBR is looking like I was kind of hoping it would. So far so good. Even for a non-fantasy read, that was, I had a book ready, and it happened to have a mostly dark cover. So, and it's gonna be a dark story too, so I feel like metaphorically speaking, it counts. Third draw. It's always so nerve-wracking because if it's something like reset your entire TBR, I'm gonna throw a fit. All right, here's our next card. Oh, we have Puddleglum from Chronicles of Narnia from my Misfits collection. The effect is to read a sad book, and I have drawn Puddleglum before, and I wasn't able to actually read the book that he was attached to. So this is second chance for Puddleglum. Here's the hard part. I can't actually choose the things that I want to because they don't have dark covers. Like, I can add them to my TBR after the game, but I can't use them for cards because of fucking Mother Dark. Alright guys, I think I found a book that fits the prompt, and it's also a book that I had prioritized for January of 2026, and that is Dread Knight by Andrew D. Meredith. This is book 4 in his Collation Saga series, a world full of political, religious-themed fantasy with paladins and all sorts of fantasy creatures. There are mercenaries, there are warrior factions, there are good versus evil forces trying to battle over the world and the characters. And I'm really excited to read this because this will mean that I am caught up on everything that is released in the Collation Saga up to this point. And, you know, it has a dark cover, but also, knowing where we left off in book 3, I have a sneaking suspicion that this book is going to be the darkest and have a lot of... I mean, there's going to be some sad things that happen. I definitely think this book is going to hit harder emotionally than the previous 3 books. Not that they didn't have emotional moments, but I think this one kind of is a culmination of everything that's been happening. So we're gonna put that one in here. It's always kind of hard because I haven't read any of these books yet, so it is a little difficult. I can guess that it's going to be a sad book. I don't know because I haven't read it yet. So, Dread Knight by Andrew D. Meredith is going to be our next pick for the TBR stack, and so far, you guys, these are all books that I really wanted to read. So we're doing great so far. So let's go for our 4th card. Also, we're like making some serious progress on the Legends of the Bruhai character collection. That's 2 more that I'm adding through this pile, which is fantastic. Hey guys, so I want to take a super quick break before we go back to the regularly scheduled programming, just to say a huge, massive thank you to my wonderful, amazing patrons. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you so much for supporting what I do here on the channel and my work as a writer. For those of you that don't know, down in the description box below, there are a ton of links to all of my social media accounts. Please feel free to follow me and catch up on any of those. And there's also a link to my website where there's a whole bunch of information about my fantasy books if you want to check those out. You guys are awesome. Thank you. If you enjoy my content, like and subscribe, and stick around on my little corner of the internet. All right, fourth card. Oh no, you guys. No, she's back. Ah! Okay, we have Itami Cho from the Mortal Technique series by Rob J. Hayes. I don't know if you guys remember this, but if you've been watching my TBR games, this woman destroyed my TBR a couple months ago. Like, completely came in and wrecked it. Her effect is that I need to roll a dice. 1 through 4, her peace sword. Draw a priority book. 5 through 6 is the war sword. Keep 1 other character card in play, shuffle the rest into the deck, then draw an equivalent number of replacements. Okay. It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's gonna be fine. She's trouble. She's trouble. You guys have read Never Die. She's one of my favorite female fantasy characters of all time. But this TBR game has really strained our relationship, I have to admit. Okay guys, I have my D6 here. What's that? It's a 2! Oh my gosh, you guys, my heart. This is a 2 from Itami Cho. She is allowing us to read a priority book. Thank goodness. I think my heart needs a moment, honestly. If you want to see Itami Cho in action in another one of my TBR games, please go watch this, because that was one of the most stressful / entertaining TBR games I had this year. And you know what? Thank you so much, Itami, for allowing me to just draw a priority read this month. You're a gem. I love you. Thank you so much. So here's the thing. I have read quite a few of my priority reads this year, actually. I don't have a ton left, which feels great. I have a few, but I don't think like any of them have dark covers that are left. I don't think. Let's see. Leviathan Wakes? We need to chat, okay? Because this is too much. I cannot read this, which means that I will have to put you back in the deck, which means that you will have another opportunity to screw up my TBR. And I really appreciate you being here. Seriously, I love your book. You're amazing. Huge fan. But like, you're killing me here, girl. This also doesn't have a dark cover, which means that at the end of the round, I'm going to have to replace it with something that does. Or just simply remove it from the TBR, which means that, like I said, Itami's gonna have to go back in the deck, which, as they say here in the Midwest, it definitely could be worse. So we're just gonna roll with it. Okay. Our 5th card, I might have to draw 6, you guys. I might have to draw an extra card because, no, well, I'm trying to think what else I'm reading. I feel like I'm missing something. Is it a buddy read? Oh yeah, it's my Discord patron pick, which also doesn't have a dark cover. Okay. Man, Corald Ghislaine just really messed up the plans, kind of. I mean, for the most part, I'm actually quite pleased that I had 3 books already chosen that I knew I wanted to read that have dark covers, so that worked out pretty well, actually. The next card is Aidan McAllister from Song of the Beast by Carol Berg, which all of you should have on your TBR if you've been watching my channel. Please put it on your TBR if you haven't read it already. Fabulous book. The effect is reread a favorite book or choose a standalone. So, like, the easy choice for this would just be to reread Red Rising, because I will probably reread at least the first 3 books again next year, because I I'm about due for a reread. However, I recently received a book from a friend of mine, and because I'm a glutton for punishment and my TBR doesn't have enough chunks on it for January, which, guys, I'm also supposed to be writing a book, finishing a book in January. In theory, it should be done by then. It should be done by like mid-January, my next novella, and then sent out to all of my beta readers. So like, in theory, but this is really ambitious. But you know what? Heck with it. This will give me a lot of options, and I can always move things around if I really need to. I'm going to pick up Ghosts of Rainia by my friend Tim Fasciola. This is a standalone prequel to his series, The Vengeful Realm. And this one features a sister bond with a world that is basically like dead and necrotic, and there's a skeleton king that is wreaking havoc across this broken land. And one of the two sisters wants to flee what is happening, and the other sister wants to stay and fight. And you guys know I love a sister bond. So I'm really intrigued by this, and I have been very excited to read through the works of my fellow Honor Anthology authors. If you don't know anything about that, the quick nutshell is that I was recently in an anthology called Honor with 21 other amazing, talented sci-fi and fantasy indie authors. The Kickstarter launched. It was super successful. Huge thank you to everyone who supported that. For the special edition, the anthology itself will be available outside of the special edition later on. But I've been slowly collecting books from my fellow authors in that project, and yeah, I'm very excited to check this one out. So I think this one's gonna go on the list. All right, guys. This is our current stack. One of these things is not like the others. We have The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. We have Dread Knight by Andrew D. Meredith. We have Flames of Mira by Clay Harmon. We have Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. And we also have Ghosts of Rainia. I can absolutely speak English. It's fine. Everything's fine. So this is an ambitious stack. And what I'm going to do is, you know what? Itami Cho and I, this is just a feud. A feud at this point. I'm going to put her back in the deck, and I'm going to remove this from the TBR stack because A, there's absolutely no way I can read this in January on top of all of the stuff I have in the stack beyond it. I know it was a priority read for me last year. I'm sorry, I'm trying. I'm trying to read everything. And I do still really want to read this, but it doesn't have a dark cover, and it is just too much for the month of January. It's too much, darling, too much. So we're going to put that away. This wonderful, amazing character is going to go back in the deck to plague me at a later date. We are going to pause the official TBR game here for Corald Galen's sake, but as you can see, all of the covers on the TBR are dark or black, and that leaves us with some good options. Now that we're officially done with the TBR picks from the game, I can show you the other books that have to be on my TBR for this month that were already set up as buddy reads or read-alongs, etc. So there are 2 more books going on this list outside of the TBR game that were part of the TBR that was going to happen either way. Now, one of these is my Patreon pick. So every month my patrons vote on a book that they would like us all to read, and then we discuss it in one of the channels in my Discord. And what I did this month is I gave them 3 options. 2 of the options were books I was already planning on reading for the month of January. And which one did they pick? They picked the one that I wasn't planning on reading. I love you guys so much. You drive me a little bonkers sometimes, but you're amazing. And I am really excited to read this book, so like, it's fine. But I just thought that was really funny. We are going to be reading, I think, at this point, it's leading by a landslide, so unless everybody changes their vote randomly after this video, don't do that. The Paper Menagerie by Ken Liu, which honestly, with how many big, heavy-hitting books I'm going to be reading in January, I actually feel like this is going to be a really good palate cleanser because it's full of short stories. It will be my first time reading Ken Liu, and I have heard that the Paper Menagerie itself, the kind of titular story in here, is very impactful. very, very impactful. Everyone has told me that they cry, that they absolutely love it. It's one of their favorite short stories ever. So I'm actually really excited to add this to the list because I think it'll be a great in-between that I can kind of read a couple of the short stories in between my other bigger reads. And it's not, let's see, I mean, it's still short stories. So we're looking at like 380 pages or something like that. And it's all going to be pretty good stuff. So we're going to add that to the pile. This is every year, you guys, I know this is rambly and I'm all over the place today. This is what I do every year. I get to like December and I think, all right, January, I'm just going to relax. You know, I'm not going to start any like series read-alongs in January. I'm not going to overcommit myself. And somehow, every year, January is wild because I also am starting a buddy read of this chonky boy, War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. Because why not throw some giant Russian literature onto a fantasy chunk TBR, right? Like, this is probably the chonkiest stack of books I have had at the end of a TBR round in a while. However, I'm going to be buddy reading this with my good friend and patron, Leah, and we're super psyched about reading this, you guys. And here's the thing, with really chonky, classic, denser reads like this, I think having an accountability partner or a buddy to read along with you, especially if you can manage to go somewhat at the same pace, is super, super helpful. And we're just going to kind of take it as it comes. We don't have a solidified schedule of how long it's going to take us or exactly how much we're going to be reading every month, but there's no rush. And I'm really looking forward to that. So I won't be finishing this in January unless something really wild happens, but no, I won't be finishing this in January, but I will be starting it in January because I am so determined to read this book this year. I know I've been talking about it for ages, and I feel like 2026 is the year, and I cannot wait. I need you guys to encourage and support me this month because look at this stack. Holy, this is heavy. This is a heavy stack of big old books. We've got Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. We've got The Paper Menagerie by Ken Liu. We have Dread Knight by Andrew D. Meredith. We have Flames of Mira by Clay Harmon. We have Ghosts of Rania by Tim Fasciola. And we have War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. Like, what a lineup, honestly. So pray for me, and we'll see how much of this I get through. And honestly, like I've said before, this is my guideline. This is what I would like to read in January. If I don't get to them, the cards just go back in the deck and we don't worry about it. Like, it's not that serious. But it is nice to have kind of a set guideline because I do get paralysis analysis when I'm staring at my 600 book TBR. So it is nice to have just a little bit of a guideline to kind of direct my reading during the month. And honestly, if I go completely off the rails and decide to mood read, that's also okay. And I'm very excited about all of these, honestly. Some of these have been on my TBR for a long time. It's about time. So I hope you guys have a wonderful end of your year. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And all of the things. I hope that you have had some amazing blessings come your way this year. I hope that 2026 is a year of rest and recharge for you as much as it hopefully will be for me. And I'm really looking forward to going into a new year of reading with you guys. Thank you so much for the insane amount of support on my channel this year. I'm still kind of blown away by it. And yeah, I'm excited to see where next year goes and to see what we get into for reading next year. It's going to be a wild year, guys. So let me know down in the comments what you're most excited to read in 2026. If you have a January TBR, let me know what that is. And anything else you want to share, highlights from your year. Let me know what you really enjoyed reading this year. Let me know if something really cool happened in your life this year, because I'd love to hear about it. And as always, guys, I hope you're having a fantastic week. I hope that you are reading 5-star reads, and I'll see you in the next video.